Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Tanya Archer, and it is my pleasure to introduce to you today Pat Chacha. Pat is a professor and coordinator of the Medical Laboratory Science program at Centennial College. In 2003, Pat founded Girls of Destiny, mentorship and personal development programs for girls 11 to 16 years to empower teen girls with the confidence they need to become strong young women. Pat has advocated for youth through various educational, youth, and children's projects in the community. She is a motivated speaker who is passionate about the success of young people. In 2005, Pat created Destiny Light Educational Services, an academic and scholarship coaching consulting business which prepares students and parents to win funds for post-secondary education. As a trained scholarship reviewer for the Millennium Excellence Awards, the Top 20 Under 20 Scholarship, and other community scholarships, Pat uses her skills and knowledge to mentor students on the art of winning scholarships. Through her mentoring and coaching, graduating high school students in Canada have won up to $50,000 in scholarships. Working with her husband Joel, together they founded Teamwork Children's Services International, a charitable organization to help support orphaned and poor children in the rural communities of Africa. Without further ado, we welcome Pat Chacha.
Thank you, Tanya, for introducing me. That's fabulous. I want to welcome everybody. Good afternoon, all those that are attending, and thank you for taking the time to come out on a beautiful Saturday to listen to me. I want to thank Marcia and the team as well for putting this awesome day together. And without further ado, I'd like to get started on how to win scholarships. So I'm going to try to share my screen, and I know that if I have issues, David is there to help me with them. So here we go. All right. So my presentation will be about 45 minutes or so, and then you'll have an opportunity to ask some questions. And please just write your questions down, and we will deal with them to the best of my ability at the end. All right. So my presentation is actually called The Art of Winning Scholarships. So what do you need to do in order to win scholarships? To go to post-secondary school. So we're talking colleges, we're talking university. So I want everyone to grasp and get a good hold on that there's a scholarship with your name on it. If there are parents right now on the line and students, please just turn to your parents, turn to your son, your daughter, and just let them know that there's a scholarship with your name on it. And for the student, you say to yourself, there is a scholarship with my name on it. Because sometimes we don't believe that. So we have to start to believe that we too can win scholarships. So many years ago, a star was born. My parents, your little baby was your star. You nurture that child, you watch that child grow up. And now, maybe now in next year, or it could be in a few years, that star that you want to be their best is now ready for college or university. But the challenge is, how are you going to pay for scholarship at university? And I'm going to show you in another few slides just an average cost of what it takes for post-secondary education. And this is why it's really important that we grasp that there's scholarships out there that can assist in funding tuitions for university or college. I teach in the college system, so and I've been to university, so I know both sides of the coin here. So this gentleman, I'm sure most people know who he is. And is Usain Bolt. He held the 100-meter world record, and I think the 150-meter world record. And so the question is, he's sitting there doing his stretches. And so I want young people and even parents to think about it. What would you enter a race without having trained? So there's no way Usain Bolt could even enter the 100-meter race without having some training. And then, would you compete against others without having been prepared? So here he is, he's coming off the start blocks. He's like a whole head and a knee ahead of the other runners. All right, so if he was not prepared, he couldn't compete against the other runners. They would leave him, he would be the last person in the field. He would be lagging behind. There was no way. And so the same principle occurs when we are vying for scholarships. We have to prepare for scholarship. It is a competition. And so here he is, yards and meters ahead of the pack. Would you expect to win? So if you did not prepare, would you expect to win? Then if you did not prepare and you're expecting to win, then that's a false reality, because you're not going to win if you don't prepare. And Usain Bolt would not have won if he did not prepare. And so here he is doing his lightning bolt symbol. He is a star. He started from humble beginnings, and so the star was born. But that star became a bright star by preparing and, doing the things that he needed to do that was necessary for him to be the star he wanted to be. And he had a lot of challenges. They said he was too tall. If you notice in the race, he was the tallest runner. He's over 6 feet. Most 100-meter sprinters are under 6 feet. And he's very tall. He's been one of the tallest ones. So that was part of, the complications that he would have as a sprinter. But he overcame that by preparing. So he knew where the velocity of the wind actually would be when he was running. He would know, how the wind could help him to go faster and so on. He would sit in an ice bath just to get his muscles and everything working to the optimum that they had to be in order for him to win the race. He got injured. He would, get well. He would train again. So we look at someone like Usain Bolt and we said, oh, we wish we were like him. Well, it didn't come very easy. So I just wanted you to think of those things. And I used him because, most people know who he is. So we're going to move on a bit, and I'm going to talk about some fake news. Fake news is huge now in our day and age. So here's some fake news concerning scholarships. Students believe that the application process is very intense and difficult. Yes, the application process, you'll have to do some work. But that does not mean that all scholarships are intense and difficult. And there is an application, and it is a competition. So I just want the parents that are online and the students that are online to realize it's a competition. Students believe that they need to have very high marks in order to win. That is also fake news, because there are several types of scholarships. Yes, there are scholarships that require high marks. They're only a third of all the scholarships that are out there. Students believe that they need to be in a financially shaky position to win. Again, that is fake news. Some scholarships are for students that are in financial difficulty, and some scholarships are not. Again, just about a third of all the scholarships that are there, are for students that are in financial dire straits. So the bottom line is school is important. Because in order to win scholarships, you need to be in school or you've gone to school. And you really can't dominate what you don't understand. So if you're going to do well in school, you need to understand what you're being taught in school in order to dominate certain courses, maybe math and so on. And for the parents out there, I'm just going to do a little sidebar here. And I'm going to ask you, please, if your student or your child is struggling, for example, with math and so on, there are many online resources. I'm sure the school board, Peel School Board has resources. and there's also tutoring. So that child is going to need some extra help in order for them to dominate school, academics, no matter what subject it is. We understand that they're not going to get 100% in everything, but the bottom line is we want them to be able to understand that school is important so they do not get discouraged and drop out of school. Too many of our people group, we're seeing a lot of truancy in our people group, and we need to just grab a hold of that and help each other to be successful. So we're going to talk about a few strategies to be successful when you're preparing for scholarships. And so for the students, hard work brings profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. So yes, I'm going to apply for that scholarship. I know it's out there. Yeah, you know, I'm going to do it. And then, okay, so the scholarship deadline goes by and it's like, oh, okay, I missed that one. I'm going to apply for the other one, and so on. And you never do. And so you win, you get no scholarship money to assist you to go to post-secondary. For parents, help your child develop their interest, their talents, and their strength. Now, I know I can speak for the Black community, and maybe it's not like that with the younger generation, but my generation was all about academics. You must score high marks, which is fine. But if you had an artsy talent, if you could sing, if you could play an instrument, and so on, don't focus on that. Just focus on academics. Well, scholarship givers are looking for students that are well-rounded, and there are scholarships, excuse me, out there for musicians and so on. So did you know, and this is recent stat, and this is just an average, that the average one-year post-secondary fee for 2020 and 2021 was $22,000 for students living in residence, and $7,000 to $11,000 for those students that are living at home. This does not include books. It does not include travel. It does not include food. It does not include any of the incidentals that you have to pay for in college or university. So we're looking more at $30,000 or more if you live in resident, because then you've got to pay rent. And we're looking at anywhere probably about $18,000, $15,000 to $18,000 for those that are living at home. So the figures are just for tuition. Now, some of this stat that I have here is from my own students. So the reality is that students are going further in debt, or they're working part-time or full-time, and so their grades are suffering. They're going further in debt because they never had a presentation like this, maybe, that will give them some insight on what it takes to win scholarships. So they got a student loan, and maybe it was not enough, and so they have to work part-time or full-time yet. And some of them are even working at night. So they're working from 12 at night to 8 in the morning. They have classes at 8:30. They can't show up. So their grades are suffering, and they're finding it increasingly difficult to work and also maintain their academic marks. So I need everybody again just to say, there is a scholarship with my name on it. So there's money out there for everybody, but where do you find this money? And so you can find them. I have a whole list here. University and colleges, they have their own scholarships that they award. People will donate money to the university, to the college for scholarship and bursaries. Local businesses and organizations, religious organizations, some churches, mosque, and so on, they offer scholarships as well. Many civil community organizations offer scholarships. You have the unions. So if parents, if you're a member of a union, check with them to see if there are scholarships there for your children. The high school counseling office, they should have, a list of scholarships or maybe some database or links that you can get into to find scholarships. You can search on the internet. Employers also will give scholarships. So again, parents, please check with the company or companies that you're working with to find out if they have scholarships for your children. And so usually the companies, the scholarships will be for the employee's child. All right. The government agencies, there's the military, private foundations, and there's several scholarship search engines that students can put their profile in, and they'll be able to get, a list of scholarships as they become available so that they can apply. So what does it take to win? And I like this fellow, and you can see how tall he is. That was one of his obstacles, but he did it. Okay, so here's some winning strategies. We've got to start early. Preparation begins in grade 8 or grade 9. And so the fake news out there is, oh, when you're in grade 12, you can go ahead and apply. Most students that are applying in grade 12 without doing nothing do not win scholarships. So parents, I'm going to encourage you to coach your child to be an extraordinary winner. Encourage them to start early. So how do you do that? You can, and if you want it to be specific, you can, just search specifically for scholarship for Black kids, or Black, organization that gives scholarship to Black kids, for example, and have a look at the scholarship application itself. And when you look at the scholarship application, go through it with your child and see what is required. This is what is needed. So then how do I now encourage my child and motivate them to start preparing? All right. Encourage them to develop their talents. Encourage them even in grade 8 or grade 9 to get involved with some leadership activity. Many of our Black parents and so on, they belong to a religious organization. And so you can connect with the youth pastor or the children minister or something to see how could your child be involved in a leadership position. Or even they may not have to start right away at a leadership position, but maybe start and then move up to a leadership position. Please encourage them to volunteer and be involved in community activities and to pursue extracurricular activities as well. I know the volunteering is, I think, 40 hours for high school. It's mandatory. And so sometimes I've heard students will say, okay, I'm done my 40 hours. I'm not going to volunteer anymore because I'm not getting paid. If you get paid, you're not volunteering. You're an employee. So parents, encourage your children to look beyond being paid. What is the goal they're trying to get to? The goal is they'd like to win some money to go to post-secondary schools. So encourage them to volunteer, do meaningful volunteering that is going to benefit the community. Encourage them to get active in the community. There are organizations out there that are doing, like, for example, Black History Month and so on. Encourage them, even in grade 8 or grade 9, to get involved. And these, you can then start to create a portfolio and start to put things down and put certificates and so on, in a portfolio. And another time we'll talk about how to build a portfolio. For the students themselves, you're in grade 8 or grade 9, I want you to start to think. You get a journal and you write things down, or a little book. It doesn't have to be a fancy journal. Write things down. Think about yourself. What makes me special or unique? Oh, I like to talk. I like helping people. I like to sing. I'm a good musician. I'm a good soccer player. So start to write those things down about yourself. Then ask yourself, have I ever done anything in my community? Who is my community? You might not even know who your community is. So you can, connect with your parents. Mom, Dad, I want to get involved in my community. How do I become involved? Where do I find community organizations? So this is where parents help your children as well. Have I offered to help in school? The schools, they have many clubs and so on. You might want to start to look into that to see, for those that are in grade 8, when you get to high school, what clubs and so on are there, that by grade 10, you can start to be a part of that. You may want also to team up with a friend, because sometimes some of my students, they've teamed up with a friend who has the same mind, the same passion with them to create a community project. And so both end up winning scholarships, all right? So get a journal, write these things down, and believe that you are worthy of winning a scholarship. This is another one of my very favorite people. And I'm just trying to move my slides up here so we can see, and I don't know what's going on. Okay. And so winning strategies mean that you will set yourself apart from the crowd. And this is very important because we all like to fit in. We all like to be a part of the crowd. And I've had students say to me, you know what, I'm an A student, but I don't tell my friends because, you know, I don't want them to shun me. I don't want to get bullied and so on. But there comes a time when we need to do that. Barack Obama, as you all know, was the first Black president in the US. He came from a broken home. So coming from a single parent home is no excuse. All right, it's what you want to do and your passion to get it done. And so he did what he had to do with help, of course, and he became the first Black president in the US, and he served 2 terms, which is also quite an achievement. So when you're in grade 10 and grade 11, please look around in your high school to see what clubs you could join, because I'm sure there are many different types of clubs. If you're not seeing any club that you're really interested in joining, but you have a passion for something, then connect with your guidance counselor and say, this is what I'd like to do, and create something. And start that club or session in your school. Keep your grades at a B grade or higher. And this is why I started out by asking parents to really ensure that you give your child the academic support that they need. You need to be looking into volunteering, and also in your volunteerism, look at the need, see the gaps, and create a community project. And I think I have a slide. I'll talk a little bit more about community projects. Extracurricular activities like soccer, swimming, and so on. Get involved, be innovative. What can I create? I'm looking around, I see a need, I see a gap. Do I just step back and say, oh, I'll leave it for somebody else to do? Or do I then think, how can I make this better? Create a portfolio. Portfolio, like I mentioned, you can do an online portfolio. You can keep it, a binder. This is where you put your achievements. And once you get to grade 10, grade 11, and you start to have your achievements, particularly if you're in sports, you need to create a site. They're free to put your achievements on, particularly if you're a sports person. Okay, so another winning strategy, you heard me mention about creating a community project. So this is what I get my students to do who are interested in pursuing scholarships. They see a need, and then we take that need or a talent that they have. We don't do anything that's extraordinary. We see a talent that they have, and then we use that to create something, a project that they can go into the community with that project, and they can now be helping the community to solve that project. So for example, I'll give you a quick example. One of my winners, she started in grade 8 to prepare because she saw her sister who came to me at grade 12, who worked very hard and ended up winning $25,000 in scholarships. She saw her sister when she was in grade 8, and she said, I'm going to do better than my sister. So she started a pen pal group with the grade 8 students, connected with an organization that was involved in out of the country. Actually, it was in Africa, She connected with them. She connected some of the students in her grade 8 with them so they could share, cultural things. I tell you about Canada, you tell me about Africa, and so on. So she created a pen pal situation. When she went to grade 9, she took that a step higher. She went and, with the help, of course, of her guidance counselor and so on, connected to several schools in the city that she lived in. And so they had this massive thing going on where students were, writing each other back and forth and so on. That was the days when we were writing, because you've got to also realize that students that live in the rural area in Africa, some of them have no electricity. They may not have any access to internet. They may not have a phone. And even if they do have a phone that they can access the web, they have to pay to access, the web. And so this thing took off, and I think there were about 5 or 6 schools that were involved. That young lady right now, she won about 20,000 or more in scholarships and awards, and she's completing her last year in nursing in university. So that's just something she saw. And so she used her talents to create something. I had another student who loved to sing and play the piano. So I said to her, okay, what are you going to do with this? So go into the community, and you're in school, you can connect with the school, you can connect with community organization, get some kids, form a choir, and take those children at least 2 or 3 times a year, maybe like Easter and Christmas and so on, and go into the seniors' home. All right, we can't go into seniors' home right now because of the pandemic, but the pandemic isn't going to last forever. So I'm just giving these as pre-pandemic things that we have done. And so this is what she did. She went to her church. She got some of the children in her church who like to sing. She went to her neighbors on her street, and she spoke to neighbors. This is what I'm doing. And so the neighbor said, okay, fine. And she trained the kids, and then they would go into various seniors' home, and they took little packages and so on. They would sing up a storm. She would play. The seniors loved it. And here she was doing something meaningful for her community. So these are the ideas. So when I say create a community project, I'm not saying do something that you've never, you have no creativity for or any talents. It's a matter of just mind mapping. What is my talent and where can I take it? All right, so I hope that was helpful. So some winning strategies: create and build your personal brand. And this is particularly for students that are athletic. You're going to have scouts and so on. Create your brand. You have to brand yourself so they know who you are. Be careful of social media, though. I mean, if you really have some stuff on social media that shouldn't be there, you need to know how to remove them and so on. So these are things that you do that you're very passionate about and you're good at, that really you feel no one else can accomplish this or get this done. So, you can build your brand. You can do that by creating a website or LinkedIn. If you're in high school, grade 11, grade 12, you can have a LinkedIn page in LinkedIn, YouTube. All these, there's so many social media platforms out there, but parents, you have to help your child to choose the right one, because they need to be aware of what is good and what's not so good. And doing that is going to create an initial perception that people will have of you. You want them to have a good perception of you, because someone that is awarding scholarships, they want you, the recipient, to represent their company or represent their organization. If you're not a good representation, or if they see that you won't be able to represent them properly, in a ethical manner and so on, they're not going to give you that scholarship. So please remember that, so be very careful, students, of what you're putting out there on social media. And you've probably have heard this before. All right. So you can write articles if you like to write, and there's stories. You can create a blog. You can start your own blog. You know, for example, mental health is huge now. Tips for helping young people with mental health. And you can research, write your blog. You can do video. You can, you know, if you're a musician, you can play your music and so on. All right. So what you want to do, you want to show the scholarship judge that's going to be judging you or interviewing you and reading your application that you're the ideal person that they're looking for to award the scholarship to. So winning strategies, I mentioned. So I just quickly put up here a few places that you can get free websites. So there's Wix, GoDaddy, Jimdo, Weebly, there's Google, there's LinkedIn, there are many, and I'm sure your guidance counselor or counselor could help you if you don't know. And the young people nowadays, anyway, they know where to find these things. All right. So here's some strategies that set winners apart. So these are the things that are normally on the scholarship application. You have to tell about your community participation, your volunteering. When you go for a scholarship interview, these are the things that you're asked. And so I've highlighted about 3. One is community participation, one is innovation, and the other one is leadership. So for the community involvement, you're going to show that you're giving to the community by devoting your time and effort. Let's volunteer. Let's not all be takers. Okay, but let's give back. You can show that you're participating in a diverse community, which in Ontario, basically, we're in a diverse community, you know, the large GTA cities. So you don't have to be only helping or volunteering within your people group. You can be volunteering somewhere else as well. You know, but again, once you finish your 40 hours, for example, or even when you're doing your 40 hours, look at how well you're contributing. And the scholarship reviewers are looking for long-term involvement, which means if you're jumping from volunteer organization to volunteer organization, that doesn't look so good. So they're saying, okay, this person is not stable, because that's what you're showing them. So you volunteer 1 week here, oh, I don't like it. You go to another, you know, organization, you volunteer for another week, oh, I don't like that. Let me volunteer a day here and a day there. They're looking for longevity. They're looking for commitment. Because when they give you scholarships, they expect you sometimes to come back, and when they have seminars and so on, to be the mouthpiece. So they're looking for consistency as well. And the quality of your community participation or volunteering is much better than quantity. So if you're going to volunteer, say, for example, with Big Brothers Big Sister, and you're volunteering with them for a year or so, that is better than having 3 volunteer organizations that you're just with them for a few weeks. All right? So ask yourselves, are you making an impact in your community? What impact am I making in my community? And can I make an impact in my community? Let me just think about this, because my end goal is to win some money, some scholarship money to assist with my tuition. Be innovative. And so I talked about the young lady creating the pen pal system. That was innovation. All right. And they like to see that. Scholarship reviewers, they like to see that you can initiate something and you can finish it. They like to see that if you have a challenge, that you can carry out that challenge. You can create ideas. And I know young people that are on this forum with us, you are full of ideas. Just absolutely full of ideas. You're very creative. Start to write them down and then start to see, okay, I've got this idea. Who can I connect with to help me make this idea a reality? I want to help somebody in the community with this idea. So your project can be community, like I gave you an example of a community project with the young lady who was very talented playing the piano, and she sang. And so she started a little choir. and they went to the seniors' home. That's a community thing. The other one was a global project where she connected with an organization here in Canada that did stuff globally. And so she created that pen pal situation where you had now kids locally connecting with kids globally. And it so happened, even with that project, one of the girls in the African country that they had connected together came to Canada and spent about 3 weeks with her. And actually, she went to Africa and spent some time with her pen pal. So they both were learning now about each other and about each other's culture. So the bottom line is be innovative, write things down, let your mind go wild when you're writing things down. You're just going to brainstorm, and then you can sit with your parents and we can try to put that together. But the idea is show how you can be a difference in your community. And so the other winning strategy is leadership activities. And I alluded to that a little bit there. So you can participate in your school council, treasurer for a school diversity club. There's so many. Just connect with your, I guess it's your guidance counselor that you would connect with to get some idea of the various clubs and so on. And if there's none, start one. All right. Demonstrate yourself as a self-motivated leader with potential. They don't have to drag you in to join a club, right? If there's something that interests you, join it. Be a part of it. All right. Be involved. And this will help you to build your leadership qualities. Both the two examples that I gave you, that showed leadership qualities. It also showed innovation, and of course they covered the community involvement as well. So here are these two ladies, and I mean, I've done many guys too, and they've got big projects as well. But I'm just giving you those two as an example. Here was those two ladies had covered all the criteria that were required. And so they both won money to help them to go to university. All right? And show that you're not afraid of the competition. Winning scholarship is a competition. Nobody's going to hand it to you. You have to compete, just like Usain Bolt had to compete to be the star that he was born to be. You will also have to compete with other applicants for that scholarship, because you're also a star. So you need now, some stars shine brighter than other stars. That's just the reality. If we're all born stars, and I believe that, then how do you outshine another star? Because some stars are not as bright as other stars. So you need to set yourself apart, and you need to be able to shine in your genre, for example, just like Usain Bolt did, just like Barack Obama did. Those guys, they made sure that they were shining. And because of how brightly they shone, they were able to achieve. And everyone on this forum right now can achieve. Okay, so we talked about that. I just want to quickly, I hope I haven't gone over time, so please let me know. If you're athletic, then there's scholarships out there for you. Again, start early. Create a platform to showcase your progress. So have a website, because the coaches are going to be looking, and the scouts are going to be looking at how well you've done. I've had students who have had basketball scholarships, soccer scholarships, and so on. Okay. At the end of the day, when it's time for you to be vying for scholarship, then connect with your coach in school. That's the best person to link with, and then you can send your resume and a quality video to the university that you may want, or you feel you may want to attend. Now, going to school in the U.S. on a sports scholarship requires a few things. It requires submitting your transcript. So from grade 9 to 11, and this is why it's important to be consistent with your grades. All right, they're looking at a B or a B+. A B+ is ideal. An overall 75% score. high school score of 75% or greater, strong math, English, and writing skills, and a pretty good GPA. If you have a high GPA, it will get you in one of the Division I schools. All right, so there are three categories of schools for sports scholarship in the US for students that are international students. And right now I have one of my students, he's a baseball, he's doing his second year in Michigan, and he got a scholarship for baseball. So there's a SAT exam, SAT exam that you have to write, student aptitude test, and it's an academic skill test. And many of the colleges, and most all of the colleges in the US and universities and college in the US requires that as part of their entrance process. And some universities here, like Queen's University, they recognize the SAT exam as well. And so what does that involve? It's a test. It has a critical reading, critical writing, a math, and experimental critical thinking section. So they're looking for someone to be well-rounded. So here's a little bit about the schools themselves. So you have your Division I schools, which are your Ivy League university, your large universities, and so on. They offer scholarship and financial aid, and they're looking for a high SAT score. And they're looking for students who have a high GPA. The Division II schools are usually the smaller university and college. Some will offer a full scholarship. Some it's a smaller amount of scholarship, and they're looking for usually a combined SAT and a GPA of a score of 820 or higher. If you notice Division I, they're going 2100 to 2400. So you've got to be really good academically and score quite well on the SAT. And the smaller universities and so on, they normally do not provide scholarships, and if they do, it's a small scholarship that they will provide. So that little piece was just there for the folks, the students who are academically inclined. So I just have a few more slides, and then we'll take some questions. I have a list of databases here that you can go on, and then you can put your profile in, and they will match your profile with scholarships. So that makes it easier now. Back in the day, you had to go through books and search for scholarship. This way, put your information in a database, and the scholarships that matches the information that you've placed, they will send you those scholarship application, and then you can apply. So the application process, and this is a reality, it's a numbers game. Those who apply to 10 or more scholarships have a greater chance of winning. And so I've heard students say, I don't want to apply to that scholarship because it's only $1,000. I want to get the TD Canada Trust scholarships that's $80,000. Well, you have to do a lot to get the TD Canada Trust scholarships, which you can. It's a huge competition. So if you have 10 scholarships and they're $1,000 each, and you've won 10 scholarships, you right now will have $10,000 in your pocket. And that could go towards your tuition. So don't despise the smaller scholarships. Some are $500. If you apply and you win that, that could help towards your books. A textbook some textbooks are $200. Even if you're doing ebook online, it's over $100 when you're in college or university. So be aware of that. Some of the smaller scholarships, they all add up. Okay, so how do you increase your chance to win? When you're going through the scholarship application, just ask yourself, what are the reviewers going to know about me from what I've presented to them? So you have to write your application well. And this is where I find a lot of students get into issues because they do not know how to write well. And so you may need to get some help when you're preparing your essays and so on for your scholarship application. So the scholarships that you want to know about, what they want to know about you is they want to know about you. What makes you who you are? What are your thoughts and your beliefs? What are your accomplishments? Are you a person that takes initiative? So you see something, do you want to fix it? You want to help the situation. And how do you handle setbacks and challenges? Usain Bolt was told he had a challenge that he was too tall. How did he handle that? He learned everything he had to learn about the sport that he wanted to excel in. He even learned the velocity of the wind. How will the wind help him? How would the wind not help him with his height? And he became a star. So when you're doing your scholarship interviews, be very clear, focused, and articulate about your goals and when you write them down. So the scholarship essay is very important. How you write your application will then tell the reviewer everything about you and will tell the reviewer, okay, I need to interview this person. Or they have two piles. I've been there, so I know. There's one pile that, yes, we want to interview, and there's one pile that, no, we don't want to interview. And that, no, we don't want to interview pile may consist of several things. Application coming in late. Students are not answering the questions that they've been asked, and so on. So you want to be in the pile, yes, this looks good, and I want to interview that student. How do you increase your chance to win? And this is where sometimes students get discouraged because they have to apply. Well, if you don't apply, you cannot win. So you might be eligible for several, but if you don't apply, how can you receive an award? So you have to prioritize. And this is where parents that are on this forum, I encourage you to help your child when they're applying for scholarship. They cannot do it on their own. They're going to be applying in around grade 12. That's the last year of high school. It's intense. They're busy. So they need your support. Help them with the schedule. If they're applying for 10 scholarships, help them to schedule those scholarships so they don't miss the deadline. All right? Apply for the right scholarship. Don't waste time applying for scholarship that doesn't apply to you or, what you want. The criteria just don't match what you exactly would like to apply for, then you're wasting your time. When you apply for scholarships, please include all documents that are required. That is soul sorrow when we see students that do not include all the documents that are required for the scholarship. And don't be late. If your deadline is, the 15th of May at midnight, you make sure you get everything in by the 15th of May. All right? And I think we're almost there. Increase your chance to win and write scholarship essays. So I mentioned before that your essay has to be really good. It has to be put together well. It has to be cohesive so that when the judges are reading it, they're not guessing at, oh, what does this person mean? And it is clear to them. So I met this gentleman, and some of you may know who he is and some may not know who he is. He's Michael Lee Chin. I've had the privilege of meeting him twice, once at a big session and one at a very close, inclusive session. He is a Jamaican billionaire, started off single parent, came to university here in Canada, went to McMaster, and then he decided to go into the financial business, and from that, he became a billionaire. He is the one who donated billions of dollars to revamp, I think it's the art center that's in Toronto. And so they might even have given a wing his name. Just hearing him speak, just regular guy, still has his Jamaican accent, was just amazing. And one of the talks that I was present at, I just took a few things because I like to make notes. And he said, if you aim for nothing, you will hit it with great accuracy. So students, I want you to think about that. You've got to aim for something. So if, I'm not going to do it, then of course, you're not going to win scholarships. He said, our behavior today is our history tomorrow. Let's write it well. So be careful of your social media posts because the behavior you have today on social media is going to write your history. Because when the scholarship reviewers are going to check upon you and to see who you are, they're going to go to social media. When you're getting a job, they're going to go to social media to see about you. And you must have heard in the news how many people have fallen on their faces because of social media posts and other things they've done in their youth. So please remember that. Whatever you do today, you're writing your history for tomorrow. And the last thing I wrote that he said, you can't do well without doing good. And he has donated a lot of money. He has given, you know, to the community. He's given to the community in Jamaica, where he's from. He's given to the community in Canada that helped him to become who he is as a billionaire. He's well known for his philanthropist. He's a philanthropist, and he's well known for his philanthropy. And that's Michael Lee Chin. So I know I kind of went through this pretty fast, so thank you very much for listening to me. I want you to say to yourself, there is a scholarship with my name on it. So if there's a scholarship with your name on it, and parents, if you really believe that there's a scholarship with your child's name on it, then help them to go get it. So thank you so much for listening. May God bless you. May you be successful in your scholarship pursuit. If you need to connect with me, my name is Pat Chacha, and my phone number is here, 416-891-8314. And my email is chachaboke@gmail.com. Please send me an email and we can talk further. So thank you very much. And I'm open for questions now. So Karen, are you there?
I am. Thank you so much, Pat, for joining us today and for sharing your Saturday with us. We really, really appreciate it. You clearly have a passion for empowering and engaging students, and it definitely shows and has come across in the presentation today. Thank you for all the work that you continue to do with the Girls of Destiny. You've provided all of us with a wealth of information about post-secondary scholarships and how to find the one with your name on it, your tips on how to access and increase your chances to win, and how to help us inspire students to seek opportunities through leadership and innovation and community projects, and helping us to encourage our students to see their talents and where they can go with those talents and how they can achieve and soar through their passions. So thank you so much. We really appreciate you joining us.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you also to all of our families who've joined us today for the Symposium of Excellence in Education. We've had a fantastic day of sharing and learning, and we really appreciate it. I really appreciate, Pat, that you've shared your contact information there, and I know that I didn't see any questions there, but people may have some questions after they have some conversations with their own students or their own children, and may reach out to you. So thank you for sharing that.